MyMac podcast 853. Dun, dun, dun!
And welcome everyone to the MyMac.com podcast. And I'm a little thrown off this week because we haven't recorded the intro yet. We're going to record the intro at the end of the show instead of at the beginning of the show. And as Gaz certainly knows, and many of the people who listen to this show probably know, I am a creature of habit. And when we do something that's different, it can completely throw me off. But putting all that aside, last week, Gaz, was the big dub 2021, and it's now starting to fade away, which is fine. And they did all kinds of great stuff that they revealed, and it is open for review. Like, you remember that it was that thing that they, where they did stuff. Did you see that?
Yeah, and that I also saw them do something where they showed a widget thing.
Oh, was that when they took that like item and changed it and made it something else?
Yeah, just after the time when they also did noise or something. There was just so much stuff.
Wow, that was the part that was my favorite.
Look, I'll tell you what, we just to jump in. I did the FMEO Reaction Time podcast with Mike, Dave, Ginsberg, and Eric Erickson, and of course my lovely self. Although I'm the only one that says that. And I did Little Else on MyMac. That
must have been a long show.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I did Little Else on MyMac this week as the weather's been too nice to stay in, but we went through it, and there was a point when they started showing code. And as soon as they started showing code, I said, there ain't no hardware, folks. There ain't no hardware coming for this, which is not what we were expecting. I mean, if you look back, I heard a podcast this week, and I've actually unsubscribed from the podcast and the YouTube videos because they were quite good, these people. But they came on and they said, well, that there was no hardware. That was rubbish. And I thought, you're part-time because it's only every second year, and it's not always every second. Or so, it's not every second year that they bring hardware out at WWDC. So, get your facts right. It's not something that we should be expecting hardware, and it's not something which, always produces hardware. And you've psyched yourself up for it. And people have psyched themselves up for it. And then they were going on, they brought the M1 out. They brought the M1 out, the Apple Silicon. So, and they didn't do anything with the iPads, that's just rubbish. And I thought, look, you're not a software developer.
They just updated the iPad, just a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah. So, I mean, I know it, for some people, it was a little bit disappointing, but actually, in the show, in the reaction show, we went through it, and there were a number of things that were quite exciting, and we mentioned that we were looking forward to, and I'm sure we'll come to those in a later section in this particular podcast, because I have a feeling you might have done some notes about it. But what I said was, this is solidifying what they've already got. This is doing a right. Let's slow down. Let's make sure everything's working. Let's start bringing things together, and let's make sure we're bringing things together correctly. Let's take on the developers on the next part of the journey and all of that sort of stuff. So actually, I
hate to call it like a snow leopard year, because that's what so many people say, and it's like, it's not that it's a snow leopard year, because if you think back to when Snow Leopard came out, the only thing Apple was doing was basically the Mac and iPods, and that was it. So the developer conference was all about the Mac OS and iTunes and nothing else. Well, now you have iPad OS, you have iOS, you've got the Watch OS, you've got tvOS, you got Mac, you got all this stuff going on that Apple wants developers to do something with. So, and in a lot of cases,
it's very it's not a wide range of different developers all doing each of those different things. A lot of those developers are touching all of those areas. So
right, because they're using Swift, which is Apple's developing language that works across pretty much all of their different platforms.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
now
we're going to talk about those things.
Yes. Yeah,
later on.
Let's come back onto those later, because there was. I mean, you've already said that what your favorite bit is, and I think I've hinted very quite concisely and clearly what my favorite bit was.
That great stuff that they revealed.
That was the stuff.
That was that other thing.
Now, can I jump in and say, okay, so you've said it's been a quiet week. So would you like to tell all the listeners why it was so quiet that we're recording on the Sunday rather than the Saturday?
Yeah. Normally we do record on a Saturday. However, yesterday, for people in the future who don't know what date it is we're talking about, it's June 12th. It's my younger son Peter's birthday, and today he hit 25 years old. So naturally he's like all depressed, thinking that he's now so old, until I reminded him that dear old dad is pushing past 60 now. And now that everything is pretty much on an even keel, I'm depressed about it as well.
Yeah.
So weird. And he came over Friday night late. He went to visit some friends that live in the area, and then came over to the house, spent the night, and then in the morning I made breakfast, and then he and I went out to there's a chain of stores here in the US called Micro Center, and they don't have a lot of stores, but the stores that they have are like just awesome. It's like big kids toyland, or geeks toyland, more or less. And so we went there, and we went to Best Buy. He's trying to find a PS5 that has a disc player built in, like a Blu-ray disc player built in, so you can also play some older games.
Yeah.
And it just came out, and between it just coming out and the current chip shortage, you can't find one. And of course, the speculators bought them all up when they first came out. And so you can go on eBay and get one, but they're going to cost you $800 to $1,200 instead of the $500 that they retail for.
Wow.
And he sent me a message a couple of weeks ago, and he was like, "Well, Dad, I'll pay for it, but you're so tech savvy."
What?
Sorry.
I tell you what, he's not as bright as you put him out to be honest with you. He thinks that you've duped him. You've duped him, guy.
I have fooled so many people for so many years that
I think that's cruel, myself. Actually, duping your own son like that. I mean, that's not
what
nice.
Dads do.
Well, it's true. Very true, actually. Yes, I'm always doing it to my kids. So
sure. So anyway, so he has me and a few other people on the lookout trying to find one at a reasonable price. And I look like 2 or 3 times a week. I just do a quick search, and I'm seeing the same thing over and over again. Yeah. And until the chip shortage is kind of put into the rearview mirror, it's going to stay the same like this. It's why
absolutely
the weird thing right now here in the United States, I don't know what it's like in the UK, but right here in the United States, along with not being able to buy a house for reasons that we won't go into, but it's not good. You also can't buy a car.
Yes.
New cars are really, really hard to come by.
Yeah.
Which means, of course, the used car market
through the roof
has gone through the roof.
Yeah.
And so this is like, just as things are starting to open
really,
up, just
really crappy old cars.
Crappy
old cars, which you'd never even take a second look at, are going for stupid money, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah. Even from really smart tech savvy people like me.
Yeah. See, if you can live without a vehicle for a little while, it'd be worth selling it.
Yeah. No.
Okay.
No. So what's your week been like?
Well, as I say, I went on the FME reaction time with Mike, Dave, and Eric, and little else actually on MyMacs this week. The weather's certainly been been far too nice to stay in. So
it's been
I
total
haven't
crap here.
Oh, we went out for another long walk today and with some friends, and it was just beautiful. And we've just got a bit of fluffy cloud coming over now, but it's really warm, really
it's not
really warm for
right
us Brits. Really warm for us Brits.
We had like flood warnings on Thursday and Friday in this area.
Ouch.
And it kicked in just as I was leaving work on Thursday. Yeah, so my wife sends me, and again, we'll get to the podcast, people. We swear to God we will get to the podcast.
Well, we will, because
we've got to get through all this stuff first.
We have, and I've got to ask you one question.
What's that?
What mic is Guy using today?
I'm so glad you asked. This week, I am on an Audio-Technica AT3035. This is an XLR condenser mic that Audio-Technica no longer makes. And I found it on eBay, I think sometime last year when I went on a real big microphone buying spree. Just because I heard somebody online going, "Oh, this is a great mic." So I went ahead and that's what they sounded like. So I went ahead and got it.
Can I ask a question, Guy?
Of course.
Do you think anybody listening to this podcast can tell the difference between all of the mics that you use?
What's your point? I can.
There's no point, Guy. There's no point at all.
All right. So,
shall I jump on a bit more with the Ordnance Survey? The history of that.
Tell me more.
Okay, so I don't know if you remember, I told you that William Roy was commissioned to survey Scotland. Quite an achievement, as he was only 21 at the time. Well, in 1784, he was commissioned by the Royal Society to geodetically, I think that's what that is, connect the Royal Observatories of Greenwich and Paris to solve a dispute, like there's never been a dispute between those two countries in the past, over their relative positions. Well, to do this, he needed a much more sophisticated theodolite, which is, for those who don't know, a precision instrument for everybody. Yeah, a precision instrument for measuring angles horizontally and vertically. A much more accurate one than had previously existed. Now, apparently, this could only be created by Jesse Ramsden, the leading instrument maker of the day. So he produced a spectacular, great theodolite. 3 years in the making. I mean, this sort of stuff doesn't happen instantly, does it? But that took 3 years to make the
certainly
theodolite.
Not in the late 18th century.
Took 3 years to create this so he could do the survey. Anyway,
the weird thing if you turn it over and you look on the bottom, it says "Made in China."
Yeah, probably. Well, yeah, maybe. Yeah, Taiwan. So to begin with, to begin the London-Paris triangulation. Hang on a minute, that's 2 points. How do you get a triangle from that? It was necessary to measure the baseline that Roy established on the flattest suitable ground on Hounslow Heath. Now, I come from Hounslow, and that is a line that now crosses Heathrow Airport, for those who'd like to know. Using the Ramsden theodolite and trigonometry, a network of accurately measured triangles was extended to France and then back to a verification baseline in Kent. Newspapers of the time lauded Roy as an incomparable engineer, while the Royal Society awarded him its highest accolade, the Copley Medal. Don't know what that is. The 5-mile line that was later to form the basis of the principal triangulation of Great Britain. So this guy, only 21, now probably 22, 20, well, he would have been 24 at this point. Very clever guy, and certainly ordnance wouldn't exist with him. But that's this week's snippet of history about OS. So more to come next week. Let us know if you're not enjoying that, folks. I don't mind. It sounds good old.
Yeah, I mean, I have always referred to him as Jesse, but Mr. Ramsden was amazing fella.
Let's jump into Gazzy's snippets.
Okay.
Okay, let me get my because I do need to refer to the actual some of the sites here. Okay, Apple wanted to buy Rap Battles. Oh no, that was from last week, wasn't it? That's because I haven't deleted that out. Yes, that's correct. Okay, Apple are set to pay higher taxes in Europe following a G7 tax deal. Actually, it's not just Apple; it's a lot of the high-tech companies. Now, funnily enough, Rishi Sunak, who's our Chancellor, then said, "Oh, hang on a minute. We've got a lot of banks which are based in the UK, which pay quite a lot of tax to us because of their earnings, but most of their earnings are made elsewhere in the world. Oh, we need to do a deal with the rest of the G7. You see, Richie, you can't. You take it away with one, you give with one, but you take away with the other. You can't have it both ways, mate.
If only they belong to some kind of unification for Europe and the UK that would have allowed them to do something like this. If only.
I'm saying nothing. It seems it must be worn out because last week Apple Fitness Plus was crashing for Apple TV users when trying to start a workout.
Oh, yeah, dear. And many people broke arms as everything just like stopped.
yeah. In very odd positions.
That's right.
A study has found that up to 2% of top 1,000 paid apps on the App Store were scams. Dum, dum, dum. Really? Okay. Apple is continuing iCloud Plus service with private relay and hide my email. Actually, I didn't think that was coming in, but it's already been introduced. This is something from WWDC, but it's now gone live. I like this because this isn't costing extra, and I think there's lots of little snippets on that, which could be really quite nice. Apps continuing to track users despite Apple's privacy prompt. That's not good. And I've got a feeling that those apps that are doing that may find themselves in trouble at some point. Apple announces HomePod Mini is coming to Austria, Italy, and more countries later this year. That's a surprise to me because I thought they were already there. But there you go. Yeah, interesting. Apple Watch Series 3 support continues for another year with watchOS 8. I thought that wasn't going to happen. Although I think what's actually happened is that it needs to do a complete reinstall. I think that's what I was hearing. So if you're going to use it, it's got to update the whole OS because it's taking so much space to actually load the new OS. So be a bit careful on that, folks. But it is supported at least for another year. But it has to be really because they're still watching it. Watch Series 3, aren't they?
Yep.
Now let's just go to this. This is where I need to go to the website to make sure that I've got this list. So the iPhone and iPod Touch models compatible with iOS 15. Now iPod Touch 7th gen, iPhone SE 2nd gen, iPhone 12, yeah, fine. iPhone 11, fine. iPhone X and XS, fine. iPhone 8, iPhone 7, iPhone SE first generation, and the iPhone 6S and 6 Plus guy. That's going back 6 years, isn't it?
That's... Yeah, and you know, on the Android side of things, if you can get a update, one update, you're doing well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, continuing that theme, here's the full list of Macs compatible with Mac OS Monterey, and I will come back to this with another statement. So it is basically the 2017 and later iMac Pros, 2014 and later iMac, 2014 later Mac Mini, 2013 and later MacBook Pro, 2013 and later MacBook Air, 2015 and later MacBooks. Seems to be quite a lot of MacBooks there, isn't there? Late 2013 and later Mac Pros, 2017 and
the iMac again, or have you not said that yet?
The iMac is 2014 and later iMacs.
Okay.
Now I've said there 2017 and later iMac Pro, and I think it says here. Oh no, late 2013 and later Mac Pros. 2017 and later iMac Pros.
That's all of them.
That's all of them. Yes. Yeah. Late 2015 and later iMacs. Now, late 2015 and late iMacs. Now, hang on a minute, because that's late 2014 and later iMacs.
The weird.
Oh no, that's Big Sur. Sorry. So ignore me. Right, stop there. I did go down too far there because those first lot that I said were Mac Pros. Now. So stop there. Before everybody's screaming at the podcast and saying that's not right,
Well, they scream about this podcast for many reasons.
Yeah. Here's right. So some of those that I was talking about were compatible still with Big Sur. So here's the Monterey ones: 2015 and later MacBooks, early 2015 and later MacBook Airs, early 2015 and later MacBook Pros, late 2014 and later Mac Minis, late 2015 and later iMacs, which is what you were interested in.
Yeah.
2017 and later iMac Pros, and late 2013 and later Mac Pros. That's what's included.
Yeah, which means that
OS Monterey,
that the Mac Mini, you can get an earlier Mac Mini and run Monterey than you can an iMac.
You've been waiting for that, haven't you?
I just downloaded that.
So you're glad I actually made the mistake to let you download it and put it in.
It gave me a little more time. Yes.
Okay.
So it is a conspiracy.
It doesn't sound quite right, that one, but never mind.
No, there are better ones, but that was the one I found right away.
Yeah. Apple have paid a woman millions after technician used her iPhone to post explicit videos. You go on. You've got something to say here.
No, it's just like, this is just so awful that somebody working for Apple would do this, and the woman certainly deserves compensation, but it shouldn't be considered a hit on Apple, because it wasn't. It's certainly not like Apple's corporate policy is, well, you shouldn't do that unless you find something really good and then go ahead. It's not like they're saying that at all. They're saying, don't do that. Don't ever do that. And then this guy went ahead and did it. And Apple basically pays the price.
Well, absolutely. But, there's no counter.
He doesn't work there anymore.
I'm guessing the same. I'm guessing the same.
I'm sure right there in the unemployment line.
That's but I think Sal Seguin's probably trying to avoid sitting anywhere near this guy.
It's like, no, I don't know you.
Yeah, I don't know you. You worked at Apple. Oh, great. Why are you not working there anymore? I don't want to know you anymore. Yeah, I don't want to know you. Now, Apple has confirmed that Cloud Plus private relay feature won't be available in China and some other select countries. I wonder why that is. Let's not dwell on it. Apple Music is now rolling out spatial audio and lossless songs for subscribers. Now, the thing is, actually, you've got to be a bit careful here, because you should have to go. You have to go into your settings and go down to the music app, and in the music app you've got to turn on whether you actually want to be able to download and play some of those over certain.
Well, they're probably much bigger files too.
Yes, correct. So just don't sit there like I did once when I was a wee young lad and get this hi-fi system, which I thought was absolutely superb, put the LP on it and play it and go, that is fabulous. That is, what's this knob? Oh, stereo. Turn the stereo on and went, God, that's even better.
I get the feeling there's going to be lots of conspiracies.
Yeah,
this week.
It sounds so much better when you actually turn it on. More than 30 Apple suppliers in China placed racist job apps. Yeah, you're going to get a lot.
Wait, but isn't pretty much everyone in China is Chinese?
I'm not saying anything.
That doesn't even make any sense.
And that's, well, do you want me to read it a little bit more?
No. I'm just sitting there trying to work out in my mind.
Well,
how you can be Chinese and racist against someone from China.
The Uyghurs, the Muslim Uyghurs.
Oh, okay. All right, say no more.
Say no more.
Say no more. Wink, wink.
Apple's fancy FaceTime features might be too late to matter. So I saw this as a bit of a headline, i.e., last year we were in the grips of a pandemic and everybody using the likes of Zoom. Now we're not so much in the grips. So maybe these extra bits and features are too late to matter. Well, they're still going to be nice. What, would you prefer not to have them?
Yeah, it's kind of like, Oh, darn it. They're giving me something that I don't have to pay any money for, but it's too late to use them. Ever.
Apple TV Plus has announced a new sci-fi series, Invasion, and it debuts on October the 22nd. Now, I've put that in twice, but on the second one, I've actually said, so what's happened to Foundation?
That's the one I'm looking forward to seeing. I mean, have you read that series? Did you read
that
series?
No, I haven't read it, but I've heard it's going to be, there's got a lot of optimism on the show. So, when I saw this, I thought, yeah, great, but everybody keeps talking about Foundation, or they were. So when's that going to be released?
Well, probably special effects are holding back Foundation, whereas with Invasion, they can just put like a cartoon drawing of a flying saucer on a stick and move it up and down.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
look, it's a flying saucer.
Stick. Siri antitrust concern raised in the EU, but before everybody jumps up and down and say, why are they picking on Apple? Actually, along with Alexa and Google Assistant. So,
but which one of those would be a better headline?
Okay. Well, yes, absolutely. So macOS Monterey allows you to erase a Mac without needing to reinstall the operating system. Now, I don't know if you're going to cover this, but yes. Yes.
No, you said raise. You mean erase?
Erase. Sorry, did I not say erase?
No, you said raise. This platform.
Yeah.
Look,
I raise you to the moon. I'll have to listen back now. Sure did. But there you go. Okay, if I didn't, that was much funnier that I didn't.
It is.
Apple's supply chain creates over 20,000 jobs in India. Apple has hired a self-driving car startup founder and former BMW exec Ulrich Kranz. Well, goody for them.
Yeah, sounds like a Bond villain to me.
So Mr. Kranz, you want to try and beat Mr. Bond?
My headquarters in this active volcano for no reason that I can think of that makes any sense, except for to kill everyone afterwards. Are you asking me to talk? No, Mr. Bond. I'm asking you to blow up my secret headquarters in an active volcano.
Apple has revealed the 12 winners of the 2021 Design Awards. Do you want me to go through some of them?
No, it's all right. Are there any that are like uber cool?
That one, no.
Slim pickings this year.
Little Orpheus.
Oh, that's a great game.
There you go. So that's one delight and fun in games. Little Orpheus.
Oh, that's a wonderful game.
Carrot Weathers won it. Yeah, but that's been a very long time. Bird Alone. Interaction in games. Bird Alone. How are you feeling today? Great. Mostly great or mostly bad. That one, yeah. That's this. Sound
like Popeye.
Yeah. Well, go find them and have a look if you really want. Trump administration apparently subpoenaed Apple for data on House Democrats in an effort to crack down on leaks. Now I thought you was going to play your music.
Oh. That would have actually been a much better time to play it, and I didn't even think of it.
Yeah.
Probably. I'm just so used to, well, you know what? Never mind. No, blah, 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 blah.
No, blah, blah, blah. Older Apple devices won't get certain iOS and iPad OS 15 and Mac OS Monterey features.
Yeah, I'm already getting tired of that one.
Yeah, so am I. Now, I could go through the list and tell you, but as I cocked it up earlier, I'm not going to do it because I'll only cock it up again this time. So just keep an eye out for that, folks. Apple asked developers as to whether they would attend an in-person WWDC following the 2 years of digital format. I wonder what the majority... well, they would. Well, those close enough and that can afford it would.
Yeah. Well, that's who they're talking to, basically. You know, if you can't afford to go, if you can't afford the ticket, and you can't afford to stay in a hotel, and you can't afford the Apple price to actually get into the event, chances are you're going to be like, no, I prefer it to be digital.
Yeah. Yeah, very true. Now, I'm sorry, I'm just fiddling while you're talking. You see, and I'm
well, you got plenty of time then.
Absolutely. Apple admits it ranked its Files app ahead of the competitor Dropbox during the okay. So during the Epic versus Apple trial, an email chain surfaced that reveals Apple seemingly admitted it manually boosted the ranking of its own Files app ahead of the competition for 11 entire months. Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll have to see if anything comes out of that. Maybe not, or it could just be hearsay. Now, I do have a bit of a Gaz's link because that is the end of Gaz's snippets. But Gaz has got a link. And it's a WTF. Okay, so the UK government has bowed to pressure and agrees to delay an NHS digital grabbing of the data of England's GP patients. So what had happened here is that the NHS looks after everybody in the UK, Guy. So, but the GP hold on to your details.
You still have to buy insurance, though, right?
No,
it's not free.
No, it's free. Free at the point. Free at the point of. Well, when I say. When I say it's free, we have quite a lot of taxes, so it comes out of our taxes. All right. So when I say free, but you don't have to buy separate insurance.
Okay, I won't hit the noise again.
Now we have our GPs who are obviously connected through and employed through the NHS, but the data that they hold can actually be. You can't easily send that data to the NHS hospitals, and for the core NHS organisation to say, "Oh, let's get all of this data and see if we can do more understanding of where trends are, what sort of illnesses, that sort of stuff, and what's happening in the country."
That kind of data is for to begin with?
Well, it's yours though, isn't it? Does that happen in the US? Do you have a central? Do you have a central point that's grabbing all of the GP's data from across America?
We don't even have a central bank of health for people, much less any of them talking to one another.
Well, let's put it this way: at this point in time, all of that private health information is held by the GPs, and obviously they can share it if they need to with the NHS. If you have to go into hospital, obviously. But what they don't do is generally there's not a central repository where a person could go in and do a whole load of analysis. You'd have to sign up, like some of these apps that you can get, that do an app where you say, if you want to sign up and give us your health information, this can help us understand what the trends are in certain issues. Across
can't they anonymize? That's not even the right word.
Well, they were. Yes, I know what you're trying to say, and yes, that's what they were saying they're going to do. But basically, they weren't allowing people. They kind of did this, and people suddenly found within a few days. So basically, the UK conducted an embarrassing climb down by agreeing to delay the implementation of the NHS digital controversial grab of GP patient data by 2 months. So all of a sudden it was going to be happening on July 1st, and people suddenly went, wait, what? Can I not sign out of this? Which you can, but it's not an easy process. And the thing is, not a lot of people know it's going to happen. And I think some of this data would not be just used by the NHS. Some of it would then be sold and used onto other organizations, Guy. I'm not going to say who and how they were going to sell it, but basically they were selling my data. Do I have to hit the sound again? Yes. Anyway, that's my link, and obviously it's very UK specific, but go over and take a look and complain. Tell your government
if
it's
you're
my
unhappy.
Data. It's my data, not yours.
Well, but they do. They are making it anonymous, though. I mean,
yes,
it's not
they
like
are. Yes, they are.
Yes, Gazmaz, who walks his dog Wilf for 12 miles at a time, had a bellyache at 2:00 in the morning.
Yes, but they'd be able to suss it. How private is data when you try to anonymize it? Really? Anyway, that's the end of Gaz's link.
Okay, get us out of here, Gaz.
Everybody, privately stand by to privately disappear before Guy and Gaz are right back. Yeah. Can you delete that now, please?
And welcome everyone back to the MyMac.com podcast. This is point 2. Yeah. And if I had flags, I would do it in semaphore, but I don't. Gaz, as you may know, what you and every other person in the Western Hemisphere probably know that Apple's WWDC 2021 event was just came in like a hurricane and went out like a Fruit Loop. And I have no idea what that means, but I said it anyway. So we're going to talk about some of the things that we found somewhat interesting that occurred during this week, and hopefully we'll be able to say something that'll make it seem like it makes sense, but no guarantees.
No, never.
Is the MyMac.com
podcast. Never guarantee that. No.
All right. Well, the first thing, Gaz, that I wanted to talk about was Apple's VPN, kind of a VPN. In an effort to make privacy even more front and center, Apple will be instituting something that they're calling, except in China apparently, iCloud Private Relay. This not only takes websites gathering of info or removes websites' capability of gathering of info, if Apple is to be believed, but also from Apple as well. And the way they do this is kind of unique. There's 2 proxy servers. There's an ingress proxy server and an egress proxy server. Apple runs the ingress one, and a unnamed third party, which does not fill me with confidence, is running the outgress one. And in essence, to boil it down to its base, Apple will know who you are as you're surfing, but not where you're going. And the other party will know where you're going, but not who you are. And naturally, of course, you'll need to be on Safari for this to work. Exceptions are local network traffic, private domains, servers, VPNs, and secure HTTPS traffic.
And I assume that goes on iOS as well, doesn't it? Did you mention that? Is that because it's Safari? That's gonna
that should also be working in not just iOS but iPadOS and any of Apple's operating systems that are using Safari. This is for all of Apple's faults, and there are many.
There are many.
We're not totally blind crazy fanboys that just wave an Apple flag and go, "This is the best." We don't do that mostly. Anything at this point that Apple can do, because you cannot leave this, and this is what companies like Facebook and Instagram and all the social media sites, as well as Amazon and Google and all the rest of them, they want someone else to do it on a global basis, so that they can have some say in how it's going to work. And Apple is basically saying, no, you don't get a say in how this works. You're not going to get this data anymore. And it doesn't bother me at all, because when I go to and let's take 2 examples here, CNN and Fox News Network. You go to either one of those sites in Safari and you look at how many trackers and cookies are being laid on to your browser. For CNN, I have seen over 50 trackers that is laid on. And I don't know how many of those are from CNN, how many of those could possibly be from my ISP. But regardless, that's 50 people or 50 organizations tracking what I'm doing in Safari, and they honestly don't need to know. And you've seen that it's actually a very clever commercial that Apple did. where the guy goes and he goes to a store and he gets
something.
Yeah. The pharmacist climbs over the counter and starts, and you know, he gets back to his house and there's like 30 people that are all around him.
Yes, I think I mentioned that before. Yeah, I agree.
And then he institutes whatever this private relay, and then they all just go poof. Yes. They all just disappear. Brilliant. So I really like that, and I'm glad Apple is taking a stand at this. And very, very likely Google will not. They can't, because this is everything that they are. Same with most of the social media sites. And to go off topic for just a second, have you heard of Clubhouse?
I have. Yes, I have. In fact, I think I might even have downloaded Clubhouse, and yes, I have.
It's an iPhone app. You can get
it is, and I have used it a couple of times, but I haven't used it
because you have to give them your mobile number.
Yes, correct.
In order to sign up, and
yes, correct.
And I've gotten a couple of invitations on Facebook from people that are doing Clubhouse chats to, you know, come and join me at 9 p.m. on blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
And every time I hit the link, it goes, "Oh, here, enter your mobile private number, your mobile telephone number." And I sit there and I go, is that something I really want to do? I don't know. And it makes me nervous because I get enough crap as it is now.
Well, this is where I play a bit of a blinder, because I've actually got two mobile numbers. One which I've had for years and years and years, which is a pay-as-you-go thing, and that's the number which I basically just put
give
out
who cares?
To give it. Yeah, who cares about that one?
But like a throwaway email address.
Almost, yeah. So that's the one I use. But so some of these things, they get that and they think, we have your number, but I don't really receive calls and stuff on it. So,
well, have you noticed any increase in calls to that number since you signed up?
No,
because I haven't looked into the privacy issues regarding Club. I did look up who owned it, and I believe it's an American who started and owned it. But honestly, possibly, something like that can change at any time. And so that just makes me nervous when somebody's asking for information like that. But let's skip back around to WWDC.
Please.
iPad OS 15. Now, you and I have been talking about how iPad OS has needed an easier way to do multitasking and run multiple apps at the same time.
Yeah.
And they still haven't done like separate windows that you can move around and all that with the desktop behind it like the Mac does. But they do have a couple of new ways to do it. You've got the app shelf, which is kind of interesting. Split view, which is the same way that it works in iPad OS 14.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a new top menu for moving multiple apps around the screen. Now, App Switcher, when you enable it and you pull it down, it kind of looks like the app collections that you have on your iPhone, where you go to that last page on your iPhone and Apple kind of organizes all the different applications you have into various categories. It kind of looks like that. And from this screen, you can pull up whatever applications it is that you want to work together, and you can have multiples of these. And it's kind of cool the way it works. You're still pretty much limited to two useful applications that you can use at one time, but it is better than the way it was before. And the way you kind of engage this in every single application that you run, there will be a series of 3 buttons or 3 little dots at the top of the screen. And boy, my focus is going right out as soon as I do focus.
Yeah, focus, man.
That's kind of how you engage this, and you can have it when you hit that. You can choose between full screen, split screen, or God, can't think what the other one is. But you've got a couple of different choices there, and it's in every single window. So instead of having to say you want to run another app at the same time, so you put your finger at the bottom of the screen and you swipe up to get the touch bar, and then you have to select between. It's a much better way to do it now. It's easier. It's not great, but it's better. The other thing that I really liked when they were talking about iPad OS was Quick Notes. Did you see this?
Yes, I did.
To be able to bring up a notes application in any application and just swipe up from the bottom right. And then after you're done with it, you swipe it away, but it's still available to you. Every single one of these notes that you could possibly make available to you as you're working. And it's a great place to put links and pictures and all kinds of stuff that you may need.
And isn't that available also in Mac OS? So those quick notes are also available to you. I in the back of my mind,
it's available in iPhone OS or iOS. I don't recall it being available in the Mac
Okay,
OS.
I might be wrong there, but I kind of, in the back of my mind, kind of got a feeling that it duplicates it so that those quick notes are also then available in Mac OS. But I might be wrong there. But it wouldn't surprise me if they haven't implemented that yet. That will be the next stage.
Well, the thing about, and all of these, both the App Switcher and Quick Notes, are ways to get around iPad OS's just not good multi-app functionality.
Yeah.
So, that now that you can, with just a touch or two, move to a different app, have a split screen where you can use two apps at the same time, or be able to have a little shelf where you can put certain notes and pictures and whatnot that you may want to use in a different application. These are all just seem to be kind of ways to get around the limitations of not the iPad, but iPad OS for multitasking.
Yeah. Now it is saying, I've just done a quick search just to see, and it is, I don't know whether it's talking about directly, but it is talking about how to use Quick Note and Notes in macOS 12 Monterey. So it looks like they may well.
But you probably won't be able to engage it in the same way where it's like a swipe up from the bottom right. It'll just be another application that you can run on Mac OS. Because you don't need that kind of shortcut in the Mac OS that you would do in iPad.
No, but you may or may not. That's the point, though, isn't it? So,
but Quick Notes will sync it within all of the different devices that you have in iCloud. This is just another feature. Basically, this is another feature of iCloud.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, well, speaking of iCloud, sort of, for developers who complained that they could only code on the Mac, Apple is bringing in Xcode Cloud eventually. It's not available yet, and I don't believe that they gave a firm date for its implementation. But speaking of which, also Swift Playgrounds, which is available on iPad and iOS, will allow developers to build apps right in the iPhone and iPad with lessons on writing code in Swift to get people up to speed swiftly. See, it's these kinds of quick and clever puns that I wrote hours ago that you come and download this show for. Okay. This next one, when I saw the demo for this, I was like, that is just so freaking cool. And it's iOS 15's and also iPad OS 15 live text. This looks amazing that you can grab text from nearly any image and you can save that as just regular text and use that someplace else. So that's, I think, just from the little demo that they did.
Now,
talking, Warren Sklar, right? One of the guys that I do that Mac the Future. He is a beta maniac. As soon as any betas comes out, he puts them on all of his devices. So he's been running the beta for iPad OS 15, and he says it works a treat. He says it works great, even in this early beta.
So what you're talking about there is something which I thought we were at several years ago, many years ago, probably even 10 years ago, sort of.
You're talking about like with
OCR.
PDFs?
Yeah. But if they really got this working now, eventually, finally, and it works to the level that Apple always do. And you know, we get this time and time and time again. Oh yes, but XOS has had that in for years already. Yeah, that's fine, but you never hear anybody talking about it, and you never hear anybody saying it works on a regular basis and that you can do
or
it,
that it's easy, or that it works
yeah.
well.
So now Apple doesn't get everything right, but very often when they implement stuff like this, it works. So let's you know, you said it looks amazing. Let's hope what they showed is the capability that we're expecting. That'll be good.
All right, next up in iOS and iPadOS, and I guess by design this would work in macOS as well, is Focus, which lets you filter by design inbound. Yeah, there's something I need, but it needs to be internalized. Inbound communications or notifications based on criteria that you set, with some helpful starter suggestions such as driving mode or work time. So what this basically does is lets you eliminate distractions from what it is that you're currently trying to do. So if you're at work, you don't want to see notifications from Facebook, or if you're at home and you're working on a movie, you don't want to suddenly get text messages from work or from whoever. So this lets you define the parameters of how you're going to work and what you're going to allow in while you're doing whatever it is that you're doing.
Cool.
So we'll see how well that works. Text.
Yeah. I've got to say, it did.
Yeah.
It did strike me as being a little bit fiddly to arrange, because obviously you've got to.
Yeah,
you've got
a little
to put
labor intensive.
Yeah. I did think, oh, you are kidding me. So it might be one of those apps where it's easier to stop everything and then put allowance through those things you want to get through, because if you do it the other way around, you could be quite busy doing that for some time.
Yeah, I'm just picturing some guy saying, well, all I want is my work applications when I'm working. So he sets that up, and then the next thing you know, his kid is trying to call him in the rain to come pick him up because school let out or whatever.
Yeah.
I can't get a hold of my father. And tragedy just occurs everywhere. I don't know why these things come into my head, Gas.
I do.
Text magnifier is back. This was something that we had a couple of years ago, and for whatever reason, Apple let it go away. Basically, you just put your finger on it, touch, and go out like that, and whatever it is you're looking at will expand. There's also additional built-in solutions for smart devices like locks, hotel rooms, and the ability to store important documents like driver's license, insurance information, or health ID. Sorry, it took me a minute to get back down there.
Yeah.
And this is assuming, of course, that if you're stopped by the police, or you're at a hospital or whatever, that wherever it is that you are will be able to also access these digital documents. So, it's probably not a bad idea, at least here in the beginning, to also carry those documents with you when you go out.
Yes.
Moving on to tvOS, we'll start using Face ID or Touch ID as long as developers of the tvOS apps get on board. They have to implement it. And this, I thought, when they brought this up, this was another one of those, along with live text and App Shelf, this was one of the things that really kind of got my attention, which was SharePlay. And
yes, is this
if
where
it works the way that they kind of said? Because as soon as I saw what they were kind of talking, and let me give you a brief rundown. Ooh, excuse me. My son Peter likes Godzilla. So let's say Godzilla versus IBM comes out at some point in the future, because, that would be a compelling thing to watch. And he wants to watch it with some friends, and these friends don't happen to live anywhere near him. But because he has either rented or bought or has access to this content legally, he can say, well, let's let these other people in this other state or other area also watch it along with me. and we'll be able to comment together and all be interactive together while we're watching this thing. And they made it kind of look, they brought up that house, that big house that has no front wall on it, that they used when they were talking about some iOS stuff at the last WWDC. So apparently this is a set they have someplace that they just keep. And of course, with everybody no longer working in the office, they have much more space to do these kinds of things now. Anyway, so
well, if they're not going to be using, if they're not going to have people coming back to the campus, they can use the Steve Jobs Theater as well.
Sure, yeah. Just put up like a great big house there for when you do Home OS, which they didn't even talk about. What makes me kind of wonder how well this is going to work is copyright and trademarks. So every country kind of has their own separate deal when it comes to copyright and trademarks and the ability to access movies, television shows.
Yeah,
music.
But let's be honest. The vast majority of the usage is going to be in country, isn't it? Because the youth of today do this all the time. This is what they're doing.
It's not. Well, I mean, I mentioned other countries, but it doesn't really expand out that far, because even if it's just somebody that lives across the street from you, you're still letting them watch content that they haven't legally purchased in their home, apart from you, the legal copyright or the legal owner, or the person that has the ability to legally watch or listen to some kind of content. But now, because this person across the street also wants to watch it, you want to interact with them, you can use SharePlay and push that over to them as well. And I'm wondering how movie studios and TV studios and all these other companies.
I assume that you've still got to have an Apple device to be able to do this.
Yes.
So what?
tvOS.
So I assume. Yeah. Okay. So I assume what happens if the other person doesn't have a subscription for that? You're still able to share it. And it's an Apple device, so they've then got the ability to be able to say, yeah, it's on Apple device. We can control to make sure that content isn't being, downloaded and then pushed
recorded
across,
or whatever.
Recorded, whatever. But then that person who's actually seeing it, is he going to then suddenly start getting lots of ads about signing up to that service?
Maybe.
This is something which I don't know whether you're going to use it that much. It's certainly something that I'm not going to be using. My daughters use it. They've used it on numerous occasions. But I'm not sure it's something I'd use. But yeah.
Because, Peter lives down to the south of us. My other son, Guy Jr., lives down in Richmond, and we're up here. And both my wife and I and our kids have, not in every case, but we do have some common likes when it comes to movies and TV shows and all the rest of that. So it would be kind of fun if you're hours away from someone, to be able to sit there and watch a movie together.
Yeah.
But again, and they both have Apple TVs.
Yeah.
But I wonder how the movie studios are going to look at this. They're going to look at it like, well, you're letting people who haven't paid for it watch it on their TV.
I'm not going to dwell too much on it, because I hope that the most that we're going to be talking about.
You think they'd be smarter than that?
Yeah, absolutely. But the point I'm making here is I hope the most that we're not going to be talking about is this in terms of WWDC, because I'm sure that was
no. That was basically it. Also, multi-user support in tvOS, which apparently is impossible to do in iPad OS, but they can do it in tvOS.
Yeah. I'm not sure. The thing is, I don't get the use of that in tvOS.
No, neither do I. I've heard some people that were talking about it's like, well, I've got different tastes than my wife. It was like, you're looking at a 55-inch screen with all the same apps that your wife is going to see. The fact that she brings up Hulu or the BBC or what have you, and sees particular shows that she likes versus the particular shows that you like. How hard is it really to just say, oh, all right, I want to watch this?
You're right, though. It would be a much better functionality if it was. In fact, we've spoken about this. If it was an iPad, or iOS device. That would be
Yeah,
so much
as
better.
compared to TV OS.
Yeah, that really would be useful. But we've I think I one of the early days I said that I would like that to happen, but I can't see it happening. I can't see it happening.
No, probably not. Watch OS, they have something, and I don't know what marketing genius came up with this name. Mindfulness. Mindfulness. And it's there, and it's kind of an extension of the annoying breath app, which I find very annoying. It's kind of the breath app on steroids and has more animations because that's what I wanted. Also, Fitness Plus is expanding to include Tai Chi and Pilates. So, yay, I guess.
Pilates and chips. Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's served in a newspaper, but
that's lovely.
A whole nother thing. Last up, in the Mac OS, they have something called Universal Control, which I thought was also kind of cool, allowing you to jump between connected Apple devices like Macs and iPads. Shortcuts is taking center stage with automation, and that's going to kind of push out Automator. And we were talking about this on Chuck Joy, or they were talking about it because I'm not really smart enough to comment at the same level that they were. Talking about how
nothing.
Well, when you start getting down into talking about code, which is really what a lot of this is for, or you have to know how to code to do some of this stuff. When you start talking about Apple Script and Automator, now Shortcuts is supposed to be easier, but there was a severe disconnect between the people who thought that Automator and Apple Script should stay versus those who were like, well, Shortcuts will do all that stuff and it'll be easier, so who needs it? So we'll see what happens with that. And lastly, Safari gets a cleaner design with active tab bars, and this looked actually kind of cool, that will include the more traditional URL bars as well as search features and everything else. And also you'll be able to play AirPlay audio and documents, videos, and other things between devices, and that's all in Mac OS. Well, I guess that would also extend to iPad OS and iOS as well.
Yeah.
Well, those were some of the things that kind of jumped out at me in regards to what they were talking about in WWDC. Was there anything that you saw that was particularly cool beyond the stuff we just talked about?
I suppose the being able to use multiple devices and sharing and pushing files across using your same keyboard. So if you had a Mac Mini set up like I have, I could then share one item and one file and then move it across to my iPad, for example, or copy and paste and move stuff across. That looked quite good. I think the linking for FaceTime to Android and other devices via the web was, about time too. But yeah, I think that's quite good.
Before we get off that, I wonder how much of that is being dictated by the sudden focus on Apple in regards to it being a monopoly, or it's kind of like saying, no, see, we play well with others. Look, see here, here's something that you can do with Android.
I hope it's not. I hope it's not, because there are lots. We've got people in our family that are not on Apple devices, so we had to use Zoom. If I could have sent them, if we could have sent them a link across so that they could use this as well, then we definitely would have used that. And I bet they got lots of requests. I bet during that period they got lots of people saying who used FaceTime and said, Apple, why can't I share this, this link with so and so? So
because it's what gets people to buy more Apple devices.
Yeah, but they're not. Yeah, but no, I disagree with you. Completely and utterly wrong.
Nice work.
Because you're talking about someone who's already bought it. They're not going to then go and make that other person buy an Apple device. That person is still going to have the same attitude.
We can.
Yeah. There was some concern over Automator possibly disappearing on the FME shout out, because they're bringing shortcuts across. I think I don't think that's going to be too much of a problem. I think shortcuts will be just become, the Automator for the Mac eventually. but it looks like Automator sales are going. His sales are gone, I'd say.
Yeah.
Certainly there's going to be a transition of 2 years on that. But yeah, they looked like there was lots of, I felt quite happy with the fact there was lots of stability coming our way, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I think that we need at this point, because there's been so many changes over the last couple of years between going from 32 to 64-bit, from going from the relative stability of OS 10 to Big Sur, the change in processors between Intel and the M1. I think everyone, including Apple, just needed to kind of take a step back, take a deep breath, see where we are and where we can go in the future.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool. I'm nodding my head.
Oh, of course you are, and I'm not ready. Damn it.
I'm still nodding my head.
No, wrong one.
I'm still.
Gaz's tips.
Mostly.
Gaz's tips.
Mostly.
Gaz's tips.
It's time for
Gaz's tip.
Okay, so this isn't quite as fantastic as I initially hoped it was, but I'm still going to give you this first one. So have you ever wanted to have a web page in your dock that you access all the time? Well, you can. What you have to do is you have to grab the web page to your desktop, and you do that by pulling the little what they call them, the mini icons, which is in the URL bar. Web, I can't remember what they call them. Anyway, if you grab that link, you can then grab the page and put it onto a location, presumably onto your desktop. And then from there, you can actually either add an icon to that particular web page by right-clicking on it and going to info and add a page, a picture, so it makes it reminds you of what it actually is. And you can even change the name there as well. But what you can then do is drag it across to the lower part of your dock, and this is where I don't find it quite as useful as I'd liked it to have been. And then that particular web page will stay in your dock, and you can then obviously just click on it, and it will always open to that page. So it gives you quick and easy access to a particular web page. But I think you can only put it in the lower part of the dock, or to the right if your dock is on the bottom of your screen, of course. But I actually found another quick tip, which I quite liked, which is you can actually go into system preferences and make sure that you've got admin rights. I think you need to make sure you've got admin rights here. Go into system preferences, go into printers and scanners, and grab the icon of your printer and drop it onto your desk. Okay, so what you can then do is any document that you want to instantly print, you just drag it and drop it onto the printer, and the printer will start whirring away, as that will actually instigate a print of that particular document. And Guy's nodding his head.
Yes.
Hit it. That's the end of Gaz's tips. That's the end of Gaz's tips. That's the end of Gaz's tips.
Is that the end of the tip?
Will you let me finish?
I tried to get it in there. I don't know if you heard me what I was doing there.
You are absolutely right.
Thank you.
I heard that. The Steve Jobs. Awesome.
Gaz's tip. Awesome.
I haven't thought about that. And it's weird how times change, and that your perception of how you use technology changes. Because back in OS 9 days, early days of OS 10, on your desktop, you would have an icon that represented your printer.
Yeah.
And I remember it used to be so cool. You sit there and say, well, I don't have to select the print menu. I don't even have to open the document. I can just drag the file, drop the document right onto the printer, and it'll print. And then, now because hardly anybody prints anymore, it still works.
Yeah.
But not as many people print as they used to.
No. But there are still times. I mean, I've got 4 items sitting here at the moment, which I had to print out. So there are times. But yeah, I know it's less and less. But it becoming less and less actually makes it, how do I print? Well, if you do this, there's an easy way to do it.
And all you have to do is listen to Gaz's tips.
Gaz, you are absolutely right.
That's right.
No.
It's not a conspiracy. It's just the way it's always worked. Gaz, if people want to get a hold of you, we don't have any feedback this week. The Flat Earthers apparently have given up on us, and I can't say I'm terribly disappointed.
Well, how would people get in contact me?
You might ask.
Yeah.
You might ask. Yeah. You might ask. All they have to do is send an email to Gaz, G-A-Z, at mymac.com, or on the Twitters, twitter.com/Gaz, Maz, G-A-Z, M-A-Z. You can also contact Guy and myself on the Twitters, twitter.com/Guy and Gaz, G-U-Y-A-N-D-G-A. Wait for it. Z. You can also send an email to feedback@mymac.com. That's F-W-D-B-A-C-K. Okay.
I like to go with Guy.
Yeah.
Why would you like to go with Guy?
Guy was paid at 75.
That's why you'd like. That's why you'd like to go with Guy.
So untrue.
Yeah.
So untrue.
Yeah.
His name was Guy.
That's true.
No fooling.
Thank you.
You remember Guy?
Guy? He's the guy.
Guy says,
Pay no attention to that guy behind the curtain.
If they want,
Never do.
An email from Guy.
How would they do it?
So all you'd have to do, open up that pesky email client. You don't have to print it, but you'd have to still open up the client and go ahead and type up your email and send that to Guy. And he doesn't have to have any weird accent like that. At mymac.com. You can also reach me on the Twitters. I have not one account, Gaz, but two. The first one, two. I have two accounts on Twitter. And Twitter has become very interesting lately. One is Mac Parrot, and the other one is Vert Shark. That's it. Stop. Then you can also go on over to the Tubes of You and subscribe to the Vert Shark channel.
Shut down.
Yeah.
What?
See all the videos.
I don't know what happened there.
Shut it down. Don't shut it down. Vert Shark is a great collection of videos. Yeah. It is all that stuff. You can also reach us via our Skype telephone number, as well as if you want to help support me, you can go to patreon.com/MacParrot. I forgot to do this. Coffee, ko-fi.com/MacParrot, or PayPal at paypal.me/MacParrot. Yeah. Our Skype telephone number, which I was getting to until I remembered to do that other stuff, is 1 or +1 outside of the United States. 703-436-9501. That number again, in case you forget, is 703-436-9501. Or if Skype, you just don't want to support Microsoft and Skype or any of those things, you can just dial 703-436-9501. So easy. Now, Gaz, this is the point of the show. This is a long show this week, where we say thank you. Thank you to all of you who download and listen. For the love of God, listen to the MyMac.com podcast.
I think a lot of people listen, they just don't hear.
No, well, yeah, we didn't hear anything from the Flat Earthers, so I think they just download and play it back, but don't have the capacity to listen.
Agreed.
Yeah, so I think that the people that are smart enough think that we're good enough, and I think the people that are good enough think we're smart enough. Wondered where I was going with that for a second, and that Wilf Gonnet, Wolf, love that little dog. People like us.
Sinasabi Nilang Ang Pangtanga. I isang estado nik pag isip ang aking estado ay tila mas bilog kaysa nung bata pa ako.
And if you understood any of that,
good luck.
Good on you. Yeah.
Guy.
Yes.
Why were the monkey and Jane fighting over Tarzan? Because apparently he swings both ways. End.
so you can all go home and there's nothing to worry about. Get out of here now. Go on home and go home.